And you didn't even have a website to submit it either.
That's right. So we made it all happen right then and there. And we're going to start the next presentation here. Same scenario, 8-minute presentation, turning find into action. So finding what you need and acting upon it. And I'll let Joe jump off right now and elaborate on that, please.
My name is Joe Hilger. I work for a company called Avalon Consulting. We do, among other things, enterprise search implementations. Can everyone hear me across the room? Good. So this is what we do, and for the most part it doesn't work. I'm sure all of you have it within your organization. Two quick surveys. This is from Accenture survey, January 2007. 50% of the information people find has no value to them. 59% of all users are unsatisfied with their current search. It's not doing so well. I think there's some simple ways to fix it, and some ideas a lot of people haven't thought of, so I want to run them by with you. And a lot of it is about turning the concept from what people think of as find, go looking for information, to what are you really doing? You want to act on that information. And how do you change that mindset as you're implementing this stuff? So let me give you an example of find. I've gone onto Yahoo, and I'm not picking on Yahoo. Actually, I'm going to pick on Google soon. So, but I go into Yahoo and I say I'm looking for Italian restaurants in Reston, Virginia. I get a list back, right? And you hear all the time, relevancy isn't right. The list isn't the order that I want. Well, what is the order you want? How do you know? It's you don't know the person that you're talking to. You don't know what they want, right? So I've given them a list, and it's guaranteed wrong. I have no chance of success. And this is the classic search that everyone's accustomed to. Let me show you where Google got it right. So you ask Google for Italian restaurants in Reston, Virginia, and you get a map with push pins. Now all of a sudden you can make a decision about where you want to go because you're close to it, right? You also get the phone number, so you can call them immediately. You don't have to dig in and go looking. You can act on it immediately. And then the other thing you get is reviews. So you get feedback, and I know we talked about feedback loops last time. Personally, I think Google misses it a little here. I would have some sort of star system or rating system. But look at the difference. Instead of a list of whatever that's probably not in the right order, that is what I want, I've got a map. I know right what I want. I didn't do anything fancy. It's the same set of results. I just presented them differently. And what I did is I thought about what my users wanted to do, and I helped them with that action. So all the time when we come in and start to implement for people, what we find is they say, I want my list like Google, right? Well, this is what they're asking for. What I think most people want is something more like this. Think of how you can act on it. What are you going to do with the information you get? So one more example of find versus act. This is a company called MarketWatch, their website marketwatch.com. This is one of their searches, and I picked them purposely because they actually have a great search half the time, which is kind of a shame. So this is their find search. That's kind of fun. This is their act, right? There's no list of results. What they've done here is, as you're typing your search, what you'll see is there's a pull-down box, kind of search as you type, and it's asking you a question right there. Are you looking for a quote, or are you looking for a topic? If it's a topic, they've given up and haven't done anything action-oriented, and you get that awful screen you saw before. But if it's a quote, what you get is you get stock price, recent news on IBM, a chart. You have information that you can act on, things that you can do with it, because they knew that you wanted to act. Totally different concept. They're both searches, but look at the difference in the behavior. And no one's saying my relevancy isn't right, my order isn't right, or I can't find things, because you found it and you're working with it. You can really run with it. So let's talk about how you do it. If another person comes up to me and says, I want to implement Google internally on my site, I bite my tongue and say, well, let's talk about that, because Google's a red herring. You don't want that list of things. The next thing I hear regularly is, I don't know how many customers have come to me and said, the order and the relevancy of my search is all wrong. Well, relevancy is an order based on what? Based on what logic? If you looked at that restaurant example I gave, we didn't try to order it. We just tried to give you enough information that you could act on, and the order didn't matter. You never looked back and said, what's the order I put these in? So the key here is, who is your user and what are they going to do with what you give them? So you have to ask yourself at query time, as you're asking that question, who's doing the search? What is the purpose of your website, right? Google on the restaurants actually looked at the term you put in and said, oh, I know what this person wants to do. If you looked at MarketWatch, when they did the searches you type, you had a chance to say, I'm looking for a stock quote. So that gave you a clue to tell you what action they wanted to take. So on the query or at the asking time, you're trying to find out more about that user. Things you can do is, based on your site, you may know stuff. Where on the site are they searching? You may know something about it. But there's different ways to figure out who your user is. Next type is, now you get results back. And everyone wants that list that looks all the same. Well, the best results are results that are different. If you looked at MarketWatch, it looked very different. You had stock tickers, you had everything right in front of you. Right? We call these at Avalon hit types, and we typically go in and do a hit type analysis to figure out what you have. And it's amazing when you go through these simple things you can find. We were working for Head Start, the Office of Head Start, and they had conferences that came back in search. And we said, well, what do you want to do with it? They said, well, we want people to register. We said, well, why don't you put a little register here link? And it was like the whole world was solved with just one little simple thought. And there's more ideas like this. Events, people, policies and regulations, you name it. If you go into your organization, you think about the information you're exposing, there's actions people want to take on those, and how do you do it? So I'm going to say something that a lot of webmasters don't like to hear. A good search does not increase click-through. You don't get more page views. You give them something. At MarketWatch, they were up and running after one result. It was something you could work with. So, as you think about this and you're looking at your search, I think a lot of the reasons it failed is everyone's looking for this magic answer of taxonomies and relevancy and some super formula. What do people want to do? Help them do it. And search suddenly starts to work very easily. So I don't know if I'm at where I am. I had kind of some questions for all of you to talk about. Has anyone else seen this type of concept? Is this a new idea to people? If you had, what have you seen? Because I think there's some neat ideas out there that I haven't found. I think probably a lot of big organizations here have some sort of portal, internet portal with a big search there. How's it working? What works on it? What doesn't? Talk to each other about what happens there and how does it go. And then talk to each other about different things you might search for in your company and how you could make it better. How could you make it actually work better than the way it does today? Because tell you, I was at NPR talking to them about this, and just this one simple concept changed a lot of things for them because they thought very differently about their radio shows. What did someone want to do? Well, people cared about that speaker, that person that was, or the host of the show mattered, or the person that was involved in the show. So there's definitely ways to think about this and think about for your own personal world, how does that impact you?
Great. So facilitators, if you click that. And good if you can get to it and you can use it for action, right? If it sits dormant, it really doesn't matter, does it? So, great. Thank you, Joe.
Because they force you up front to pick a class or two. You can't just up front say, I just need to